David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney+. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney+ every night.
Tonight, the breaking news on this Friday night, the U.S. striking Iran, also the small plane flying into a skyscraper. You'll see it, and the massive home explosion leveling multiple homes. First tonight, the U.S. striking Iran after an Iranian drone attack targeting a ship in the Strait of Hormuz. So what about the Iran deal? Also breaking tonight, an 18-day-old baby pulled from the rubble alive after those back-to-back earthquakes. They have now pulled out a pet dog, digging him out by hand. He's alive, too, and the urgent rescue effort for others right now. Tonight, the alarming images of a small plane crashing into one of the tallest buildings in the world. That massive home explosion destroying multiple homes with it, why authorities had just been called to that home. The severe storms as we come on tonight, the threat of flash floods, plus dramatic video here showing the flames moving in. The wildfires and the dire warning tonight from the National Weather Service. And the heat now building in the middle of the country, now moving east. It's expected to last for days. Lee Goldberg tracking it all. Tonight, the mystery. Why was a Boeing 777 flying extremely low, just about 25 feet above the runway? The deadly boat collision on Lake Michigan, two boats slamming into each other. Tonight, the suspect allegedly posing as a police officer arrested. It turns out he tried to pull over the wrong person. Tonight, Lionel Richie's health scare, what happened on stage, and he's now breaking his silence. And tonight, we have just learned that the giraffe missing here in the U.S. for 2 weeks has now been found, but they're now trying to get to her. Where she's been spotted, you'll see the image and the urgent effort to get to her right now.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, everyone. We have several breaking stories tonight. The 18-day-old baby pulled from the rubble alive tonight. Also, the small plane crashing into a skyscraper. But we begin tonight here with the U.S. launching strikes against Iran tonight. President Trump accusing Iran of violating the ceasefire. Tonight, what U.S. Central Command says it has now hit. Rachel Scott leading us off with the breaking news. She's at the White House tonight.
24 hours after Iran fired on a cargo ship attempting to cross the Strait of Hormuz, tonight the U.S. military delivering a, quote, powerful response, attacking Iran for what President Trump called a foolish violation of our ceasefire agreement. Earlier in the Oval Office, the president hinting at the coming strikes.
You said that Iran violated the ceasefire. Will they face any consequences?
Well, you'll find out.
Do you consider the ceasefire to still be in place?
I don't like the fact that they took a shot yesterday, actually 4, we knocked down 3, at a ship.
Will the U.S. respond? What is your message to Iran?
Will they respond? You're going to find out.
U.S. Central Command says American aircraft struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations and radar sites along the coast. It's been just over a week since President Trump signed the deal with Iran. Iran promising to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, but then moving quickly to impose new rules, issuing warnings like this one. The audio posted by maritime security expert Martin Kelly.
Any vessel attempt to transit in the strait without our permission, it's responsible for any consequences of any danger.
And then there's the larger question of the nuclear talks, Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Earlier today, the president once again saying Iran really wants to make a deal.
They're dying to make a deal. They're giving us a lot.
But less than 2 hours later, the U.S. attacking Iran once again.
And David, we're learning the U.S. attacks are now over. The Strait of Hormuz, such a flashpoint in these negotiations. And tonight, a U.S. official telling us those strikes were meant to send a very strong message that ships must be able to pass freely. David.
Rachel Scott on the breaking developments involving the U.S. and Iran tonight. Rachel, thank you. We move on now to the devastating scenes in Venezuela. The death toll soaring following those back-to-back earthquakes. We have new images tonight showing the staggering level of destruction there. Building after building leveled. Rescuers digging through mountains of debris. The remarkable moment, an 18-day-old baby girl is pulled from the rubble. Just incredible. And the moment rescuers heard a dog barking, trapped under a building, digging that pet dog out by hand, the dog survived. Tonight, Venezuelan officials now say 50,000 people are still unaccounted for. Here's Victor Oquendo.
Tonight, as the death toll from the devastating earthquakes in Venezuela nears 1,000, remarkable rescues of the most vulnerable are giving fresh hope against all odds. Crews saving an 18-day-old baby named Juan and his mother. Teams cheering as they carefully brought him down from the debris to be reunited with his father. Pets rescued too. Firefighters were about to leave this home when they heard barking. They found a dog completely trapped, its head barely visible. Searchers giving him water and carefully digging him out by hand. A rare victory for this team amid so much heartbreak. Rescuers cutting through concrete and listening for signs of life 2 days after the quakes.
We as a nation need to unite because we are not prepared for a natural disaster of this magnitude.
Officials say 50,000 people are still unaccounted for, and desperate families are now digging through the rubble. Nazareth Jimenez is looking for her missing loved ones and begging for help from around the world. International crews now touching down in Venezuela, including an urban search and rescue team from Fairfax, Virginia. Those back-to-back quakes brought down many buildings in what's known as a pancake collapse, floors stacking on top of one another, leaving little room for survival. The view from above shows the scale of destruction, those buildings before and after the quake. With millions impacted, the humanitarian need is growing, and the human loss beyond comprehension. And tonight, a gut-wrenching post from Venezuelan soccer player Hector Bello, who says his wife Andrea died in the quake trying to protect their baby daughter, who was rescued. Bello writing, "I'll tell her the story of how you saved her, my love, how you gave your own life for our daughter." David, the donations have not stopped pouring in. We're with the Global Empowerment Mission. They have never seen a response like this. Much needed help is on the way. A U.S. military plane with personnel and equipment is now on the ground in Venezuela. David?
The generosity of Americans right there behind you, and they sure do need it. Victor Oquendo on Venezuela again tonight. Thanks. Overseas tonight, the alarming images, a small plane crashing into the tallest building in Beijing, one of the tallest buildings in the world, in fact, and authorities tonight have not said whether it was deliberate or accidental. Here's Britt Clennett with the pictures.
Tonight, a small aircraft crashing into one of the world's tallest skyscrapers in Beijing. Shocking video circulating online showing chunks of debris falling to the ground below. The tail section of the two-seater Sunward Aurora dropping hundreds of feet. Flight Radar 24 sharing a partial flight path showing the plane had taken off from an airport 30 miles east of Beijing around 6 p.m. local time. Images showing what appears to be a large hole and broken glass of the iconic 108-story CITIC Tower. Roads closed, fire engines and police vehicles seen outside. Video circulating online showing flames at the base of the building, firefighters working to put it out. Beijing airspace is closed to drones and civilian planes, leading to questions about the cause of the incident.
And David, Chinese authorities, they have yet to say anything about this crash, and all videos, images and posts related to the incident have been removed from the internet in China. David?
Scrubbed from the internet. That's incredible too. Britt, thank you. Back here in the U.S., a massive home explosion just outside Cleveland, destroying multiple homes with it. Authorities had just been called to the scene when the explosion then happened. Here's Faith Abube.
Tonight, a massive home explosion near Cleveland, Ohio, reducing multiple homes to rubble.
It was stuff falling on my window from the debris coming out the air. It was crazy.
Officials there say the blast Thursday afternoon destroyed 3 homes and damaged nearly 36 others, some severely.
There is a working fire for the house that exploded, and 2 adjacent homes right next to it on either side are currently engulfed.
2 people suffered minor injuries. Today, neighborhood driveways littered with charred shells of vehicles, smoke still smoldering.
There's things in the trees. There's a mattress up in a tree about 40 feet over there. The concussion of the blast has taken out windows, siding, the soffits, some lights.
The fire department saying they arrived to the site minutes before the blast after a construction crew hit a gas line while digging.
I'm on the 2nd floor and all my windows blew out. All I have is my phone and myself.
The Ohio blast coming just 1 day after a violent home explosion on Whidbey Island near Seattle, injuring 3 firefighters. Officials there saying a cache of fireworks inside the home ignited after someone nearby started smoking.
And David, fortunately, no one died in either of these incidents, both of which are now under investigation. David.
Faith Abube tonight. Faith, thanks. Now to the severe storms at this hour, the threat of flash floods, the extreme heat in the middle of the country it's building, and then moving east. That heat expected to last for days. And tonight, look at this here. Dramatic video showing the flames in Utah that we continue to follow moving in here. Cabins destroyed by wildfires. There's a dire warning tonight from the National Weather Service about these dry conditions and fire dangers. ABC senior meteorologist Lee Goldberg with the images tonight and the full weekend forecast for us.
Tonight, towering walls of flames and smoke, triggering the rarest, most extreme wildfire warning in the West, what the National Weather Service is calling a particularly dangerous situation.
We are seeing things that we have never seen before.
At least 15 new fires erupting in Utah in just the last 24 hours. The Cottonwood Fire, now one of the most destructive in Utah's history, scorching more than 71,000 acres, and it's 0% contained. Dramatic new ring camera video showing the firestorm in Beaver County, Utah. Burning embers flying in every direction, flames racing up the mountain, devouring cabins and trees. Mark Leduc watching in horror on that ring camera.
I've never seen anything like that. I didn't know fire could do that. And literally within 2 minutes, it appeared in my camera, and then it was completely around the cabin.
Trent Owen's home, where he lived with his wife and 2 children, burning to the ground.
Hard to stomach that 1 second we're living our dream up there on the mountain, and the next second we're living out of the back of our truck with everything we own.
And tonight, millions on alert for a new round of dangerous flash flooding. Up to a half foot of rain swamping Wichita, Kansas in the last 24 hours. Severe flash flooding inundating roads, multiple cars left stranded.
Wow, it is really a country of extremes tonight, and we're really thinking about all of those people in Utah who've been going through these fires, those families are so brave to share their stories. Lee Goldberg back with us tonight with the forecast straight into the weekend. Hey there, Lee.
Hey, David, and a very small boundary in between the fire danger and the flash flooding, which is going on right now from Missouri into parts of Indiana. We have flood watches all the way from Oklahoma to West Virginia, and then severe threats from Oklahoma all the way to Kentucky. In fact, there's a tornado watch now for places like Paducah until about 10 o'clock at night. A few strong to severe thunderstorms could also impact parts of New England. In fact, a severe storm is near Manchester, New Hampshire right now. To the fire weather in the west. Red flag warnings across 8 states, the greatest risk area, Utah, Arizona, and Nevada. An extremely rare, particularly dangerous situation. A red flag warning in southern Utah. That'll go through tonight. These areas do get some temperature relief later in the weekend, dropping into the 70s, even 60s in Salt Lake City. Over the weekend, the heat builds into the Midwest to the East Coast, too. David, could be a dangerous heat wave leading up to the 4th in the East. We'll keep you posted.
Right through next week. We're watching it right here with you. Thanks, Lee. Tonight, there's a real mystery in Texas. Why was a Boeing 777 flying extremely low, just about 25 feet above the runway? One of its wings nearly scraping the ground, and what the FAA is now saying tonight. Here's Morgan Norwood with the pictures.
Tonight, this social media video showing a Boeing 777 plane flying dangerously low to the ground, prompting an FAA investigation. Pay close attention to the right wing of the plane, nearly hitting the ground as it buzzes over a private airport in Horseshoe Bay, Texas. Flight Radar 24 data showing the plane was less than 25 feet off the ground. The pilot telling air traffic control it was doing a low approach.
Horseshoe for low approach.
The aircraft, though painted with Qatar Airlines branding, was recently converted to a cargo plane by private owner Jetran LLC. The company saying the plane was conducting a low-pass flight in a manner that does not reflect operational standards.
It goes so low that you almost scrape the belly of the aircraft, and when you turn, you almost scrape the wingtip. That's dangerous.
And David, aviation experts warned this pilot's maneuver was essentially a form of showing off, saying the plane's wingtip was just feet away from a potential catastrophe. David?
Yeah, that was alarming. Morgan, thanks. Next tonight, a federal judge in California declaring a mistrial in the Palisades Fire case. The jury deadlocked, unable to reach a verdict after 2 days of deliberations. Jonathan Rinderknecht charged with arson and malicious destruction. The deadly fire destroying thousands of homes in and around Los Angeles. 10 jurors believed he was not guilty. 2 jurors wanted to convict. Tonight, prosecutors say they will retry the case. Tonight, President Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, pleading guilty to mishandling classified information. Bolton, a vocal Trump critic, pleading guilty to 1 felony count of retaining sensitive documents. He faces up to 5 years in prison now and will pay a fine of more than $2 million. When we come back here tonight, we're just learning of a very close call at Newark Airport, the pilot's chilling call. what he saw very close to the plane just before coming in for landing. That's in a moment. A deadly boat collision on Lake Michigan, 2 boats slamming into each other. Also a close call with a grizzly bear, how one woman got away right here. Lesson for us all. Also a suspect allegedly posing as a police officer now under arrest tonight, who authorities say he unknowingly pulled over. And then this, we have just learned tonight the giraffe missing here in the U.S. for 2 weeks has just been found. But now they're trying to get to her, where she's been spotted, and this urgent effort at this hour playing out. We'll be right back. Just in tonight, an alarming close call at Newark Airport a short time ago. United Airlines pilot saying a drone almost hit the passenger plane right before landing.
We almost hit a drone right there about 100 feet below us.
That was the chilling call coming into air traffic control. The pilot saying the close call happening as the flight was coming in for a landing this evening. Another pilot nearby also reported a drone sighting. The FAA prohibits unauthorized drone flights near U.S. airports. Tonight, a deadly boat collision on Lake Michigan near downtown Chicago. The Coast Guard says a 26-year-old woman was killed and 4 others injured when one boat hit another boat on Thursday night. Both boats were heading back to port less than 2 miles from shore at the time. That crash is still under investigation. A frightening bear encounter in Canada. A grizzly coming dangerously close to a woman walking her dog. Look at this. That woman actually recording the bear in the moment that the bear then charges at her at this wilderness camp in Alberta. She's heard yelling right there as the bear closes in, circles around her. The woman says she threw a cup to try to distract the bear and then hid inside a tent until the bear wandered off to chase a moose. Wow. Her dog was okay too, but boy, that bear was circling. When we come back here tonight, a man allegedly posing as a police officer now under arrest tonight, who he pulled over unknowingly. And then that giraffe missing for 2 weeks here in the U.S. just found tonight. You'll see the image. And now there's an urgent effort to try to get to that giraffe in a moment. To the index of other news on this Friday night, a man in Florida accused of posing as an officer and trying to pull someone over who turned out to be an undercover deputy. Authorities say Nadi Jabari activated emergency lights while trailing a car. They say he did not realize it was an unmarked sheriff's vehicle in Hillsborough County on Wednesday. Body camera video showing deputies arresting Jabari. In an affidavit obtained by ABC News tonight, the detective says Jabari claimed he is a school security guard and that he accidentally left the emergency lights on in his SUV. Tonight, he's now facing charges. This evening, after his health scare on stage, Lionel Richie is now postponing 2 shows this weekend. It comes after falling ill on stage the opening night of his new tour, saying he felt dizzy, having to sit down, and then leaving for intermission and not coming back. Tonight, Live Nation announcing Richie is rescheduling his stops in Chicago and Columbus, Ohio on his all-night-long tour. Tonight, saying doctors have advised Richie to, quote, rest and return to full health. He is expected on stage for Tuesday's show in Pittsburgh. And of course, we wish Lionel the best. Speedy recovery. When we come back here tonight, the giraffe missing here in the U.S. for 2 weeks has just been found. But now they're trying to get to her, where she's been spotted, and the urgent effort at this hour. In a moment here.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by the Farmer's Dog.
Finally tonight here, our persons of the week. They have just found Gracie the giraffe, missing here in the U.S. for 2 weeks now, just found in Texas. But tonight, at this hour, they are trying to get to her. Tonight in Leakey, Texas, just northwest of San Antonio, that young giraffe missing for 2 weeks from a game reserve has just been found after the entire town came together to try to find her. Her name is Gracie, about 3 years old. She vanished 2 weeks ago near an unfenced area. Immediately, the ranch, the sheriff's office, the community springing into action. Volunteers searching by ground and by helicopter. And look at this tonight, the ranch manager sharing this video. A helicopter pilot with Concho Aviation finding her just about 4 miles from the ranch as the crow flies, but it takes about 50 miles to get to her by car. So tonight they are right now putting together a team of veterinarians and volunteers to try to get to her as quickly as possible and then safely bring her home. And right here tonight.
Hello, David, and welcome to Real County, home of Gracie the giraffe.
Real County Sheriff Nathan Johnson.
We have located her. She's fat and happy and safe. She just decided to go on a little fling and had a bit of a catch-me-if-you-can attitude there for a minute. But we've located her, she's safe, and we will be happy to update everybody at the Welcome Home Gracie party. So until then, good night from Real County.
And so we choose the volunteers, that entire community, the vet team, and of course the police, now trying to get to her. And we're glad they think she's okay tonight. We'll keep you posted here this weekend. And I'll see you here on Monday. Good night.
David Muir, the most trusted, most watched newscast in America. And now, World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the 4th year in a row.